네, 3시 5분이 되니까 30명 정도 참석을 하셔가지고 이제 시작을 하도록 하겠습니다. 네, 안녕하세요. 저는 드그루이터 출판사의 한국 대행사 JRM의 김혜영 차장입니다. 바쁘신 와중에 드그루이터 저널 워크숍에 참석해주신 여러분께 감사의 말씀드립니다. 오늘 워크숍은 3개 대학이 참여해 주셨고요. 약 120분 정도 등록을 해주신 걸로 알고 있는데 아직 다들 참석을 못 하신 것 같아요. 그래서 일단은 한 30명 정도 참석을 하셨으니까 이제 시작을 하도록 하겠습니다. 오늘 워크숍은 홍보 포스터에서 확인하신 대로 해외 출판사에 논문 투고하는 방법, 그리고 AI 세상에서의 연구 윤리에 대한 내용을 다룰 예정입니다. 몇 가지 안내 사항을 말씀드리고 워크숍을 시작하도록 하겠습니다. 네, 먼저 워크숍 진행 중에 참석자분들은 자동으로 마이크는 음소거 상태시고요. 카메라는 꺼져 있는 상태이시니까 참고 부탁드립니다. 둘째로 질문이 있으신 분은 채팅창에 남겨주시면 워크숍 말미에 한꺼번에 답변을 드릴 수 있도록 하겠습니다. 그 채팅창에 글을 쓰실 때에는 모든 참석자가 볼 수 있도록 적어주시고요. 그리고 혹시나 영어가 편하신 분들은 영어로 직접 질문을 남겨주시면 나중에 강연자분께서 채팅창 확인하시고 답변해 주실 예정입니다. 그리고 셋째로 지금 웨비나는 녹화되고 있습니다. 추후에 녹화본이 공유될 예정이고요. 오늘 웨비나 등록해 주신 이메일로 녹화본 링크를 모두 발송해 드릴 예정입니다. 혹시라도 메일을 받지 못하셨으면 각 도서관 교육 담당자에게 요청해 주시기 바랍니다. 네, 다음으로 추가 공지사항이 있어서 말씀드립니다. 그 드그루이터의 전자저널이 한국교육학술정보원 캐리스의 대학 라이선스 사업으로 선정되어 전국 대학에서 전자저널을 무료로 이용하실 수 있습니다. 각 대학교 도서관 홈페이지 접속하셔서 확인 부탁드립니다. 추가로 저희가 국내 연구자들에게 아티클 프로세싱 차지라고 하는 오픈 액세스 저널 논문 출판 비용 약 2,000유로를 지원해 드리고 있습니다. 자세한 정보는 학술 연구정보 서비스 포털인 리스 홈페이지 여기 보이시죠? www.ris.kr 접속하시면 이 관련된 공지사항 참조하실 수 있거든요. 네. 그래서 관련해서 설명을 드리면 그 캐리스 대학 라이선스 지원 사업이고요. 대상 저널은 드그루이터의 출판사의 하이브리드 저널 약 290여 종에 해당이 됩니다. 지원 대상은 드그루이터 출판사의 저널에 오픈 액세스 논문 투고를 원하시는 국내 연구자분들이고요. 지원 기간은 2023년 7월부터 2024년 6월까지 1년입니다. 그리고 지원 규모는 APC 무료 쿠폰 30건입니다. 네, 작년에도 동일한 사업을 진행했었는데요. 저희가 전국 대학 대상으로 그 30건의 APC 쿠폰을 모두 소진하였습니다. 이게 선착순 마감되는 거기 때문에 관심 있으신 분들은 공지사항 참고하셔서 그 논문 제출하실 때 적용을 해주시고요. 지금 그 9월 13일 기준으로 지금 3건 사용되셔서 총 27건이 남아 있거든요. 그래서 이제 리스트에서 확인하시고 관심 있으신 분들은 찾아보시기 바랍니다. 네, 그 혹시라도 외국인 참여분들이 계실 수 있어서 네, 관련 내용 영어로 네, 입력하였습니다. 확인 부탁드립니다. 네, 그리고 이제 본격적인 워크숍 시작에 앞서서 오늘 강연자이신 웬디 딩에 대해서 소개를 해드리도록 하겠습니다. 웬디는 현재 드그루이터 출판사의 저널 에디토리얼 디렉터를 맡고 계십니다. 생물학 석사학위 그리고 정보자원관리 박사학위를 소지하고 계시고요. 과거에는 와일리, 옥스포드 유니버시티 프레스, 테일러 앤 프랜시스와 같은 유명한 학술 출판사에서 근무하신 경력이 있습니다. 그리고 2021년부터는 Learned Publishing이라는 저널의 편집위원으로 활동하고 계십니다. 논문 투고와 연구 윤리에 대해 그 누구보다 전문적인 지식을 가지고 계신 분이기 때문에 오늘 강연을 들으시면 많은 도움이 되실 것 같습니다. 그럼 지금부터 워크숍을 시작하도록 하겠습니다. Wendy, over to you.
Thanks, Aeon. Could you stop sharing your screen so I can start my slides? Okay.
Yeah, I stopped it.
Yes. Okay. Can you see my slides? Can everyone see my slides?
Yes, we can see.
Okay. Thank you. Thanks, Aeon, for introduction. Hi, everyone. I'm very happy here today to deliver this presentation. Wait a second. Sorry, some tech issues. No. Hopefully it happened. Sorry for that. Yeah, I don't know. No. Apologies for that. Am I back? Sorry for the tech issues. Hello?
Yeah, we are here.
Sorry, am I back? I got some issues just now, tech issues. You can hear me?
We can hear you.
Can you see the
We
screen
can
or
hear
not?
screen. No,
No,
not yet.
no screen. Okay, sorry for this. Unexpected. How about now?
Yeah, we can see that.
Okay, thank you. Sorry for that. I'm happy here today to give this lecture on the ethics for authors. It's a very important thing for especially young authors to start your research journey. And before that, I would like to do a little bit introduction about Gruyter. For those who are not familiar with the name Gruyter, allow me to provide a very brief introduction. We are an independent family-owned company founded in 1749. We've had over 270 years of experience, and our mission over that time has remained constant, that we are the trusted partner of scholars, regardless of discipline, background, or origin, and support them in their endeavor to give their best. As new technologies develop, our mission to create new opportunities to promote, disseminate, and protect knowledge has evolved. And today we do this not only as a service provider, but also as a partner and as a promoter of discovery. We connect researchers with scientific knowledges, nurturing interdisciplinary exchange, and thus contribute to wider conversations and progress in society globally. And to give you an overview of what we do, we are a publisher of research across formats and models. We publish books, journals, and databases, and we do so through an increasingly diverse range of business model, as I mentioned before, and working with an increasing number of partners. We publish in science, technology, medicine, and also social and humanity sciences areas. And now let's enter into today's topic, ethics essentials for authors. We will mainly introduce the industry regulation and together with some Gruyter practices. So let's begin where we begin with. I would like to begin with a question to you. Due to this online session, that's not convenient to see your answer, but normally we will start like this. So submitting a manuscript to more than one journal at a time, is it allowed or not, right? And the right answer is not allowed in any circumstances. This is a just little test of this. Okay. And then, as I said, let's start with the essentials first. So give you a glance. There are 6 here. So one is don't submit a paper to more than one journal at a time. Be wary of self-plagiarism. Don't send an incomplete paper just to get feedback. Always include and or acknowledge all co-authors. Always mention any source of funding for your paper. If you are using data sets gathered by someone else, check that you have permission to use them in your article. And you can find more detail in the URL I'll share in the slides to get more information from the Gruyter website. And now, cope with cope, what does this mean? It means follow something, right? So I think when I want to learn something seriously, my way is to start with a classic textbook or course book. Feel that I'm a little bit outdated, right? I believe currently that the new generation, you might just go online and check. I would say I choose both. So actually, COPE is a textbook for ethics that you are going to learn. And cope means that things we are going to learn and follow. And then what COPE is, actually COPE stands for Committee on Publication Ethics. It's an international organization, and they are dealing with all the ethic-related issues for editors, publishers, and those involved in publication ethics, especially authors, as I highlight in red here. So COPE has a mission, it educate and advance knowledge in methods of safeguarding the integrity of the scholarly record, which mainly means journal papers, and they committed to educating and supporting editors And those people, as I mentioned, those key stakeholders in a journal publishing or in general publications. And their hope is to create a future in which ethical practice in scholarship is a cultural norm. And we do embed the COPE URLs here, so you can have some extended learning after the course. There are 10 core COPE practice here, and this mainly related to how journal practice. And you will have some better understanding after reading this to really help you to find and identify good journal to submit your paper to. So I will go to each of this in detail. First, 10 practices. First one is allegations of misconduct. So we, as I explained just now, that we are now mainly talking about the journal publishing practice, right? And so journals should have a clearly described process for handling allegations. So, and you can see I don't need to read all of them, but you can see the detail here, and you can extend your reading up to my presentation. And the second core practice is about authorship and contributorship. So again, that journals shall have a clear policy around that. And we are going to touch on the details in the following slides. And the next practice is about the complaints and appeals, how to handle that. But firstly, a journal should have a clearly described process for that to support the author's behaviors. And the next one is conflict of interest. I believe you heard that in before. So there must be a clear definitions of conflict of interest and process for that as well. And there are practice about data and reproducibility. Again, journals should include policies on data availability and encourage the use of reporting guidelines and registration of clinical trials and other study designs according to standard practice in their discipline. And next is about ethical oversight. It's also very important. This ethical oversight should include, but it's not limited to, policies and others on that. Intellectual property is also one of the core practices under COPE. Again, these all shall be clearly described. We are going to talk about this later as well in the slides, so I won't go to the detail now. And then there's a dedicated core practice about the journal management, and that really help the journal publishers to better manage their journal publishing process and to help the editors, authors on their publications. And the peer review process must be one of the core practices. And all peer review process must be transparently described and well managed. And there are practice about the post-publication discussions and corrections about that. So journal must allow debate post-publication either on their site through letters to the editor or on an external moderated site, such as PubPeer, that's a third-party site, and they must have mechanisms for correcting, revision, or retracting articles after publication. Now I think just now is some briefing about the core practice. You might not easy to digest them all, but as I said, I will go to detail and help you understand and bear in mind more on that. And now let's start from a author's journey and bring more details. I think we can start with misconduct because that is one of the first core practice of COPE. First is about plagiarism. It's not strange to you, right? It's not a brand new word to you. So plagiarism refers to the act of plagiarizing or stealing the thoughts, words, or creative works of others without publishing or publishing them for personal gain. I really like this graphic. It's just vividly tell people what plagiarism means. And here we have more details. Plagiarism can apply to all types of content and source of material, be that words, data, figure, images, or other media things. It's not your own work. It needs to be fully acknowledged and attributed, or it could be considered plagiarism. Use of any material from another source must always be cited, and in some cases, permission for use may be needed. There's a obviously different definition about plagiarism, and as I mentioned, COPE, which is is an industry guideline that they define plagiarism as when somebody presents the work of others, including data, words, or theories, as if they were his or her own and without proper acknowledgement. So as I mentioned that for this course, on the one hand, we try to introduce industry standard things, regulations, for example, lead by COPE guidelines. On the other hand, we try to introduce some Gruyter publishers practice around this as well. So, for example, Gruyter, our company, which does not tolerate any plagiarism in any of our publications. We use plagiarism detection software, authenticate, and cross-similarity check. These two tools has been widely used across publishing industries, not only just Gruyter using that. We use those to compare submissions to our journals against a database of 49 million works from 800 scholarly publishers. So it suggests that every publisher were using these identical tools to compare with the existing publications on that. So don't do anything really around the plagiarism on your papers. There are other types of misconduct. We will go through them one by one again. First one is about the text recycling or self-plagiarism. It's a serious misconduct. So while it's expected that authors build on previous published work, so your own work or previous published work of others, you might want to reuse something. But remember, reusing large portions, either a verbatim copy or paraphrasing without clear citation, is considered to be a form of plagiarism. So don't do that. If parts of your submission have been previously published, you must cite appropriately and make this clear to the editor when submitting. And you must also make sure that reuse of this content complies with any copyright policies that work was published under. So you also need to check sometimes you also need to check with not only quote author, but also check whether you are able to use those contents from the copyright holder, be it journals or some publishing houses, that you need to do that. Next misconduct is about multiple, redundant, or concurrent publication. It seems like they're quite similar, but still different. So duplicate submissions or duplicate publications refers to the practice of submitting the same study to more than one journals, or publishing the same or similar study in more than one journals. And you should not publish manuscripts describing essentially the same research in more than one journal or primary publication. A redundant publication refers to one study being slipped into several parts, and sometimes people call that sesame publications as well, and submitted to 2 or more journals. It could also mean that the findings have previously been published elsewhere without proper cross-referencing, permission, or justification. This repackaging in different words or data already published by the same authors constitutes unethical publishing behavior and is unacceptable. I need to say that this multiple, redundant, or concurrent publication behavior is quite, unfortunately, quite common, that we really need to avoid of doing this. Maybe a little more about the split into several parts. This also quite often being seen, especially in the life science and medical area as well. So yeah, be careful. Don't do those kind of things. Next one, we touch on the falsification or fabrication of data. So we talk about the data fabrication, image manipulation, and these all be treated as scientific misconduct. Data fabrication is an intentional misinterpretation of research results, reporting experiments that were never conducted, or the manipulation of accurate data to suit a desired outcome. And image manipulation is a specific type of data manipulation and relates to for example, duplication of parts of within an image or use of identical images to show different things. As I said, any form of data fabrication or falsification is not acceptable and will be treated as scientific misconduct. Next one is about citation manipulation. This always been seen among journals, but also can be seen on individual author person. So manipulative citation is characterized by behaviors intended to inflate citation counts for personal gain, such as excessive self-citation of an author's own work. That's related to a personal level behavior, or excessive citation to the journal publishing the citing article, excessive citation between journals in a coordinated manner. These we've seen this happen quite a lot between journals. That, for example, the journals, two journals, maybe more, they just want to increase the impact factor. So they discuss with each other. So journal A cite the articles published by journal B, and journal B do the same to the other journals. And these actually can be identified because the proper citation has to be happened between the contents that related to each other, means to each other. But there's lots of cases we found out that there's nothing, that the two articles they cite each other, but actually the content and the scientific meaning is really not matched each other. That's really not acceptable behavior. COPE again also has the dedicated, document around citation manipulation about that. And I think as an author level, you are all young researchers. I think one thing to do is to really be alerted and don't just easily agree to cite something that somebody else, some senior people, maybe an editor of the journal or the editor board member of the journal ask you to just cite some articles that you just need to learn that the citation guideline on those. So don't do citation manipulation. Don't be involved in those kind of unethical behaviors. Next is about the peer review manipulation. I believe you guys should understand peer review, right? For every journal article you submit, it will luckily, if you're lucky enough, if you pass the desk rejection step, that your manuscript will be sent to peers to review, to send to the scholars in a similar subject field to help review your article's scientific value. So that's called peer review. So every journal properly published, they will, I think more than 99% of the academic journals, they implement peer review process for approving their submitted manuscripts. But there are, unfortunately, peer review manipulation exists nowadays. So manipulation of peer review process is using dishonest or fraudulent practice to prevent or inappropriately influence the independent assessment of a piece of scholarly work by an independent peer, with the goal of influencing the publication record or achieving financial gain. Again, that we need to follow COPE guidelines to solve these peer review manipulation cases. I just want to say one more, some more thing about this peer review manipulation. I think for the young researchers like you, you need to be aware of this and be careful to choose the journal to submit to. I think that one of the biggest challenge for you guys is to identify a right journal to submit to, right? So I think be aware that what kind of the peer review model the journal is using, and whether they really follow the COPE guidelines to do their peer review is vital to you to make the decision to choose the right journal to submit to. Sorry, we have, I click back again. We have some more slides to talk about something related to the peer review manipulation later on. Next one is about the authorship misconduct. This is also one very sensible and also very easy find it misconduct. So if you, because it's happened among peoples, right? If you really didn't do this correct or proper, it's very easy to be reported by the other people, and then you will be involved in a misconduct case. So this means inappropriate attribution of authorship of a piece of scholarly work. It's related to how you determine the authorships of a journal paper, for example. This in particular involves any situations when roles of contributors are questionable, for example, intentional and unjustified authorship changes, adding or removal of authors. This we see happens when not only during the submission stage, but most cases during the production stage. So when we publish a journal paper, you author submit the manuscript, and the manuscript goes through the peer review process, and then the editor or the editor board, they have their decision mechanism. They make final decision of the manuscript, whether it's accepted or not. And then the accepted manuscript will go through the publisher's production process and all the way till the version record, the final version published officially online or in print. So we've seen cases that author or corresponding author request to add or remove a certain author during the process of the post-accepted process, which is will alerting publisher will get into this and see whether it might be one of the authorship misconduct. And authorship misconduct also including omitting authors, like ghost authorship, or adding non-contributors, so gift authorship. So ghost authorship means that actually the author but not being added into the authorship line. Gift authorship means that somebody never contributed or contribute meaningless to this work, but has been included in the authorship line. So we need to be very careful about around this authorship misconduct. And this misconduct also involves authorships for sale, and I will touch on this when we talk about the paper mill cases laterly. So let's, as I said, let's talk a little bit more about the authorship and the contributorship. That because we talk about the misconduct, but what the proper things we shall do, right? Who shall be involved in your authorship, and who shall be involved, included as a contributor to a paper, to a work. So here we have some useful information to help you. So authorship should be limited to those who have made a significant contribution to the conception, design, execution, or interpretation of the reported study. All those who have made significant contributions should be listed as co-authors. And where there are others who have participated in certain aspects of the research project, they should be named in an acknowledgement session. So there's a difference between the authorship and contributorship things. And also the corresponding author should ensure that all appropriate co-authors and no inappropriate co-authors are included in the author list of the manuscript, and that all co-authors have seen and approved the final version of the paper and have agreed to submission for publication. This is a hot topic now, ChatGPT, right? I believe you guys love those. And we add one slide talking about the authorship and AI. Don't be excited too quick, because that's a big no from publisher about that AI, how can use AI tools, right? So as I highlighted in red, that AI tools can't be listed as an author of a paper. So the use of artificial intelligence AI tools such as ChatGPT or large or LLM in research publications expanding rapidly, as we know, and COPE joins organizations such as WAME. WAME stands for World Association of Medical Editors. It's very famous actually. Because in medical research area there's it's an area that more sensible in terms of misconduct and ethical things. So that's why this WAME they enter into this kind of design or established industry policies and regulations very early. So that's why even COPE also very respect WME's regulation and policies. So COPE actually established after long after WAME existed. So I want to describe it again. WAME stands for World Association of Medical Editors. So COPE joins this organization such as WME and JAMA network, among others, to state that AI tools can't be listed as an author of a paper. JAMA, I think most of you know as well, if you are in the medical area. It's a journal of American Medical Association. It's a very famous medical journal in the world. So AI tools can't meet the requirements for authorship as they can't take responsibility for the submitted work. So this is just explain that why publishers say no to that, right? As non-legal entity, they can't assert the presence or absence of conflicts of interest, nor manage copyright and license agreements as well. So authors who use AI tools, there's you need to disclose in something. And authors are fully responsible for the content of their manuscript, even those parts produced by an AI tool, and are thus liable for any breach of publication ethics. So it means that you can make use of AI tools, but there's guidelines on how you are going to properly using that, and you are going to follow that. So from this slide, I recommend you to read some extended document or policies on COPE website, and also WAME and JAMA network website as well to help you on these. Next, we are talking about the conflict of interest. So it's like two people rowing the boat onto two different directions, and that will not make things success, and that will make this boat stay here like forever. So that's not a good thing, right? So conflict of interest. Sometimes it referred to as competing interest, financial, personal, or professional. It's a situation when a personal organization is involved in multiple interests, and serving one interest could involve working against another. A set of circumstances that creates a risk of professional judgment of actions regarding a primary interest will be undoubtedly influenced by a secondary interest. Conflict of interest rules regulate the disclosure and avoidance of such conditions. So I can give you some very quick example that it's very often, again, in medical field. For example, if your research has been funded by a tobacco company or pharmaceutical company, so you when you try to publish your research, you really need to pay a clear attention to whether this relate to any conflict of interest of those. So this is a good example for you to think more about that. And the good behavior is to disclosure and avoid such conditions. And next, we talk a little bit more about peer review process. Actually, we're talking about some misconduct or manipulation might happen during the peer review process. And in nowadays, as I mentioned, there's many, unfortunately. So we think that during the submit, we think 4 categories that you need to know how and be aware, not submit to a journal that who don't have very proper process in terms of peer review. So at the submit stage, we normally the good practice, because these slides we're talking about the best practice to minimize peer review manipulation. So one, at the submit time, we require that authors submit manuscripts to the journal themselves. I think by seeing these words, you know that there are some misconduct that some manuscripts even not submitted by the author themselves they might be submitted by some other entity or people. I will talk that later on. And then verify is also very important. Try to use institutional emails or institutionally verified ORCIDs when inviting peer reviewers. ORCIDs, I don't know whether you know that. That stands for Open Researcher and Contributor. It's you can register your personal ID, electronic ID, on every paper you publish. So that will verify your identification and reviewers too. So we strongly suggest that one like institutional emails or the ORCID ID to verify that you are a proper reviewer and author as well. Qualifying, which means always check that suggested peer reviewers are qualified to review the manuscript and their email address is accurate. And behavior is checked for unusual patterns of behavioral, which in combination may suggest peer review manipulation is occurring. I think these slides not really very tightly related to your guys as an author, but it really explained to you that what the best practice of a publisher when they manage a journal publishing process. So we talk about the peer review manipulation and best practice. Then we mentioned several times about the author shall submit the manuscript by themselves, right? We also mentioned several times about that using your institutional email address. So why we mention this? Because currently, again, unexpectedly, but it's a situation that there's paper mills exist to really annoy academic publishers a lot. So paper mills are the process by which manufactured manuscripts are submitted to a journal for a fee on behalf of researchers with the purpose of providing an easy publication for them or to offer authorship for sale. Fake papers are being identified both during the submission process and after publication. So paper mills actually, there's unfortunately, again, there's a lot small companies doing this illegally. It's a big topic now in the academic publishing industry. We're talking about how we're going to avoid this, deal with this paper mill things. So they are a group of people. They how to say, they write the paper for the author, for example, a doctor in hospital, and they even do some fake research, and they sometimes they even find the how to say the improper reviewer or even not exist reviewer to review the paper to get the paper published, and they do this for money. So that is really not good. Next, we introduce a little bit about the data and the article sharing. It's related to when you're preparing the paper, and the sharing related to how you can deal with your published papers. First is about data and the reproducibility. I think every subject area are data related nowadays. It should not only be the author in, for example, science, technology, medical area. Even the social science, humanities areas, data research is quite popular in these days. So it's a really good information that you need to know. It's about using data in your research and how you're going to prepare that, including that in your paper, and deposit and sharing that properly. So a best practice we suggest are like create a data management plan to map out how data will be generated, created, and stored, and maintain accurate records of process to ensure transparency and allow others to understand, verify, and replicate findings, and deposit relevant data in a suitable repository relevant to your subject, and provide a data availability statement as part of your publication to explain how others can access relevant data. I think this data thing also related to the open science, that can be another topic here. I don't know whether in Korea, but but I believe you shall have. There's in a lot other leading R&D countries, there are a lot national level or discipline-based data scientific data center, Researchers can create, upload, store, and then download, reuse the data that they're using for the research. So these all contributed to a sharing scientific life cycle. So data and reproducibility became more and more important these days. We recommend you to do some expand learning about this. Next, about sharing versions of your article, it's information about how you can properly share your articles in different versions. You might not know different versions now, but after you being a successful journal author, paper author, you will know that. So there's a different versions of your paper. So when you publish, for example, take Gruyter as example, when you're publishing a Gruyter journal, there are many ways you can share the different versions of article to drive visibility. Different version means that accepted manuscript or the proofed manuscript and the version record, for example. Your article can through many versions on its journey, as I said just now, from the manuscript you submit to a journal, through the peer review process and any recommended revisions to the final article that is published online or in print. And alternatively, you may publish your article in a Gold Open Access journal or make your article Gold Open Access in a subscription journal that offers open access options. In such cases, the article process charges publication fees will apply. We can, of course, I think for open access, or if you don't know that very well, I think there are other lectures that the organizer can provide you. I won't attach that on today's. Next is about reuse of third-party material. This is also important, right? As an author, you are responsible for making sure you have the correct permissions to reuse any third-party material in your article. Materials covers all content formats, so it's not only the quote of the words, or including all formatted content that you might going to use, including in your paper. And in Gruyter, if you would like to reuse material from any Gruyter publications, please you can do so through our partner, the Copyright Clearance Center, CCC. Again, that for extended understanding of what CCC means and what they do, you can check online about that. Next, we move to complaints and appeals. So this is again steps that after your it can happen during the peer review process or after that, or even after your paper's been published. So how to proceed that? So as an author, if you wish to appeal the decision of the journal editor, please take the following steps. So it's mainly about that if you are not agree about the peer review comments or the decision of the journal that they, for example, they deny your article or not deny your article. So you have a right to raise an appeal. So you can, we recommend you to contact the journal editor in writing and explaining clearly the reasons that you need to, you don't go emotional, don't try to fight a fight with them, but you need to come back with a reason that why you disagree with the decision and specific evidence against comments provided by the editor or reviewers. And then probably you also need to provide any new information or data to support your opinions and your positions. And next, it's also important, that's a general practice you need to know. So the editor of the journal will consider one appeal per article, and the decision following an appeal is final, but the mere fact of an appeal being made should not affect the final decision. And if you have comments on the journal's editorial management, please contact editor of the journal concerned or contact us, Gruyter. So this is, we just show you that the best practice of publishers shall do. And this continue to explain that what Gruyter we're going to do if we accept, receive an appeal deal. So in the first instance, publisher will investigate any complaints raised. We may also refer such complaints to our own ethics committee. We have our own committee about dealing with ethics issues, and we might raise this to COPE as well, contact other journals or institutions, and seek independent advice as well. So as a publisher, we take all complaints seriously, be they made anonymous or not. And if you do make a complaint, we will treat you with professionalism and courtesy as well. Next is about corrections, retractions, and removals. This is definitely about the paper has been published already. So there are things can happen after papers being published. So first one is corrections. So how about what we can do if there's something wrong about your manuscript that significantly needs some amendment or others. So journal editors with the support of publisher will consider retractions, corrections, and amendments in according with COPE retraction guidance. Again, there are guidelines about this. So it's not like that you just casually say, oh, I need to retract something or amend something. That is not possible. That's not allowed. We must comply with COPE guidelines on that. And where a published article is found to include an error, we will issue an erratum or correctum on that. Retractions are reserved for articles that are so seriously inflated that their findings or conclusions should not be relied upon, or for articles that are found to include substantial duplication of other research content or life-endangering content. So I highlighted in purple that other potential reasons for retractions include, like the inclusion of materials without authorization for use, copyright infringement, unethical research practices, manipulation of the peer review process, and undisclosed conflict of interest all can cause the article retractions. And to say one more sentence about this is that in currently all the journal published in an online environment, so it's online, it's on the internet. So for the online version of the article, even we retract one article, there has to be some statement on there. So people will know that why your article has been retracted. So don't do something wrong, because that people will know that there is some a misconduct around this article, and you will feel shamed about that. So don't do that easily. Also, there are removals. So, but it's only in exceptional cases. For example, we may remove an article from online publication where we believe it's necessary to comply with our legal obligations. This includes without imitation where we have concerns that the article, one, is defamatory, violates personal privacy or confidentiality laws, is a subject of a court order, might pose a serious health risk to the public. So in these circumstances, we may decide to remove an article and publish a notice that clearly states why the full article was removed. Copyright, we're almost there. So authors are required to sign a copyright agreement prior to publication. Manuscripts are accepted on condition of transfer of copyright to the publisher. Once the manuscript has been accepted, it may not be published elsewhere without the consent of the copyright holders. Additionally, please view rights and permission. If there's a link there, you can have more information from our website. And again, for open access journals, all authors retain copyright unless due to their local circumstances, their work is not copyrighted. The copyrights are governed by the CC BY, the Creative Commons Attribution License. The corresponding author grants the journal the license to use of the article by signing the license to publish. So again, you can have some expanded reading about the CC BY license for those open access journals. But basic copyrights here means that for paper publishing, journal publishing, you publish paper in a journal, but you need to, for the subscription title, you need to grant rights to the publisher. And for the open access title, you maintain the copyright, but you grant the journal the license to use of article and to publish it online. And this almost the last slides, to do and not to do, like a summary. For your publication, please do the left-hand side right thing and don't do the right-hand side thing. So we might not touch this all in today's course, but it's a natural practice. So please format your article to the journal and follow the instructions for authors. So IFA, unfortunately, instruction for authors is not identical journal to journal. That's an unfortunate thing, but you got to follow each journal's instruction for authors. And then submit your manuscript only to one journal at a time. Check the proper attributions, citations, and permissions. Follow the ethics, policies, and guidelines. Make sure you include in any funding source or other relationships that are relevant. Funding information is very important nowadays. And we can expand in that in future courses. And then, in case of question, ask the publisher. You can always looking for help from editor and publisher about your publication experiences. And don't dismiss the instructions of authors and relevant author statements. Don't overlook the conflict of interest. Don't ignore the permissions. Don't forget to clear any copyright. Don't send incorrect version of your paper. This is a silly thing, but it does happen many times. And don't submit your work to more than one journal at a time. I think I almost done my lecture today, but just showing two very interesting slides. Maybe not very, but interesting. The first one is about some Web of Science data, the last 5-year data of Korea as a whole, the paper output trends in South Korea. We see a growth from 2018 to 2021. The blue one is a total paper. The orange one is an open access paper. That's a good trend. And the next about your 3 university. I've been told that there are 3 university joining our session today. So these are your data. These numbers can be various due to your subject base. So naturally, in the more social science, humanity focused universities, they might publish less. Other than those universities has more very strong STM disciplines. So any questions? Sorry, apologize because my the slides it's too many slides, and I've been talking very quick and don't have time to expand some story around that. So I think I shall stop here and see whether there's any questions.
질문이 있으신 분은 채팅창에 수신자를 모두로 해두시고 남겨주시기 바랍니다. 그 시간이 조금 제한되어 있다 보니까 우리 강연자께서 조금 빠르게 말씀하신 것 같아요. 그래서 조금 이해가 안 되시는 내용도 있으실 것 같은데, 일단 오늘 들으셨던 내용 중에서 궁금하신 게 있으시면 채팅창으로 편하게 남겨주시고요. 만약에 지금 질문이 생각 안 날 경우, 혹은 나중에 그 녹화본을 공유 받으시고 다시 들으니까 질문이 발생하실 경우에도 저희가 질문을 받아서 전달해 드릴 수 있거든요. 저희가 이 저널 워크숍을 한 3년째 하고 있는데, 처음에는 다들 질문을 조금 꺼리시다가 한 분이 시작하시면 계속 이어서 하시더라고요. 용기 있는 한 분의 질문을 기다리겠습니다. 네, 지금 질문이 하나 들어왔는데요. 투고하고 심사 결과 받기까지 얼마나 시간이 소요되는지 문의하셨는데, 네, 이 질문은 작년과 재작년에도 다른 학교에서도 많이 나왔던 질문이라서, 네, 한번 여쭤보도록 하겠습니다. Wendy? Wendy, are you there?
Hi, I'm still here, sorry.
Yeah. There is a question about something. So if somebody submit the article, how long would it take to get the review and the publication result?
Sorry, how long, right?
How long it'll take? Yes.
It's varies varies by subject. But normally, in nowadays, most of journals, they'll do the desk rejection first. So they will check whether your manuscript fit to the aim and scope of the journal. They can do a quick rejection. So if your manuscript, your research is really not fit to the aims and scope of the journal, normally aim and scope of the journal will be described or hosted on the journal homepage for every journal. So if you are outside of the scope, they will immediately reject your manuscript. So that can be done depending on the size of the journal. There are very big size journals, they publish more than like hundreds of thousands of articles per year. And there are small size journals that only publish, for example, 40, 50, or even 30 articles per year. So depending on that, so they will take, I would say, couple days or a week to do the desk rejection, and then they will inform that whether your article being about to send to the peer review process. That can take again various subject by subjects and journal by journal. Normally speaking, that generally speaking, that in medicine area and the subject that the research is advanced very quickly, the turnaround time is much quicker, like several weeks or 1 or 2 months or even shorter. In some very specific cases, it can be a couple of days if your article is a cutting-edge one. Because I know that some really leading journals, if your research is really, for example, in the back to the COVID year, that especially in the beginning of the COVID period, that the COVID paper will be reviewed very quickly. So then it can be handled in couple of days, but let's don't expect that. As I explained, that most of journals, they will spend a couple of weeks or months, even half a year or 1 year. It's how to say, I'm not want to say that, but it does exist in some very slow growing area. There are cases that have been through half a year or even a year that the peer review process will come, peer review results will come back. So as I to summarize, it should be between normally between month, yeah, but it has exceptional cases around that, yeah.
네, 그래서 작년에도 나왔던 질문이라서 그 말씀을 드리면 그 연구하시는 분야가 어떤 주제냐에 따라서 다르다고 하거든요. 예를 들어서 방금 얘기해 주신 게 코비드, 그러니까 코로나 시기에는 그 메디컬 그 의학 쪽이 굉장히 연구가 활발하게 진행이 됐었잖아요. 그런 경우에는 뭐 리젝션이 없을 경우에 바로바로 뭐 일주일 이내에 이제 논문 투고하고 심사 결과 받는데 일주일 정도 걸릴 수도 있고, 또 만약에 그 리뷰어 같은 게 인력 풀이 많지 않은 분야를 연구하시는 경우에는 또 에디터가 리뷰어를 찾아야 되기 때문에 시간이 더 많이 걸린다고 하거든요. 그래서 어떤 분야에서 이제 연구를 하시느냐에 따라서 그 투고 심사 기간이 굉장히 달라질 수 있다고 답변해 주셨습니다. 출판 비용을 문의하셨는데요. 이거는 제가 그 에디터에게 여쭤보지 않고 바로 말씀을 드리자면은, 출판 비용은 일단 그 정상적인 전통적인 출판 같은 경우는 비용이 발생하지 않으십니다. 근데 그 저희가 그 초반에 말씀드렸던 오픈 액세스 저널을 출판하시게 될 경우에는 그 출판 비용을 저자가 직접 내셔야 되거든요. 그때는 그 저희가 말씀드린 대로 보통 한 저널당 그 2,000유로, 달러로는 한 2,400달러 정도 출판 비용이 드세요. 네, 그래서 오픈 액세스 저널을 출판할 때만 저자에게 출판 비용이 드시는 거고, 그냥 일반적인 전통적인 출판의 경우는 논문을 투고하셔도 출판 비용이 발생하지 않습니다. 네, 그리고 한 외국인 참여분께서 영어로 하나 질문을 해주셔가지고, 네, 읽어보면 Can you publish the already published paper to another journal not at the same time? 이라고 물어주셨는데요.
I've already answered in the chat box.
yeah.
No, absolutely no. Yeah.
네, 안 된다고 답변해 주셨고요. 그리고 다른 질문은 AI가 어서로 기재될 수 없지만 AI를 사용했음을 밝혀야 한다고 하셨는데, AI를 활용해서 아티클을 작성할 경우 구체적으로 어떻게 언급해야 할지 궁금합니다. 라고 해주셨는데요. Wendy, so you mentioned about the AI. We cannot use that as an authorship. But anyway, we should have something about the AI. We should use the AI tools. Can you more explain in detail how we can mention about that they are using AI tools?
Yeah, I can give an initial answer, and I would suggest you go back to the COPE website to find the specific content around AI, and also the WAME, the World Association of Medical Editors website, and also JAMA network website to get more detail. Because as in my slides, we just simply mentioned that we can't treat AI as an authorship thing, but we actually can do our research via AI tools, right? And so there's some specific guidelines on that. So I would refer you to those guidelines to get more expanded reading about that. Thanks.
네, 그 AI가 요즘 이제 그런 툴을 사용하는 게 요즘 최신 트렌드이기 때문에 계속 가이드라인도 추가되는 걸로 알고 있어요. 그래서 오늘 그 강연에서 하셨던 코프, COPE, 코프 사이트 한번 확인해 주시고, 그 WAME 사이트 확인해 주시고, 자마 네트워크 이렇게 세 가지 사이트를 확인하시면 좀 더 상세하게 알아보실 수 있다고 하거든요. 그래서 지금 강연에서는 충분히 답변을 드리지 못할 것 같은데, 그 세 가지 사이트 확인하셔서 네, 그 사례들을 좀 보시면 도움이 될 것 같습니다. 네, 역시 한 분이 질문을 해주시니까 다른 분들도 연이어서 해주셔서 너무 감사하고요. 강연자의 PPT를 한국어 번역되어서 받아볼 수 있냐고 문의하셨는데, 저희가 안타깝게도 그 PPT 자체는 한국어로 보내드릴 수가 없고, 이번에 그 지금 녹화하는 이 강연을 그 저희가 유튜브 링크로 만들어가지고 보내드리거든요. 그래서 그 내용을 보셔야 될 것 같은데 PPT를 저희가 그 공유해드릴 수 없는 이유가 그 PPT 같은 경우는 이렇게 좀 이렇게 조작이 가능하고 하기 때문에 저희가 가급적이면 PDF본이나 그 동영상 유튜브 링크를 보내드리고 있거든요. 네, 그걸로 사용해 주시면 감사하겠습니다. 네, 그러면 PDF본으로 전달해 드릴 수 있도록 하겠습니다. 네, 혹시 또 강연 내용 관련해서 네, 문의사항 있으실까요? 네, 다들 네, 감사하다고 말씀해 주셔서 감사합니다. 네, 그러면 말씀드린 대로 이 강연 웨비나 등록해 주신 분들께는 이메일로 모두 교육 자료 보내드리도록 할게요. 네, 잠시만요. 네, 그러면 이제 더 이상 그 문의사항이 없으신 것 같아서 마치도록 하겠습니다. Wendy, everybody said thank you to you for the session today. So can you please say goodbye to everyone?
Thanks, Hiyo, and thank you for everyone. And I shall apologize because I can only do this using my non-native English. I hope that I can learn some Korean next time. That I understand that if we use local languages, the interactions will be more active. Anyway, I appreciate your time and thanks Hiyo as well. Thank you, everyone. Thanks.
네, 모두 감사합니다.